as though I have only one shirt. So, some of you will question me, what is the meaning of, tak boleh tukar lah. No, no.
Patah balik.
Patah balik. Okay. My idea is to share with you a very simple exercise. You know, I call it, in Latin, I call it REVISIO, VITACEARUM, MALESIANUM, bahasa Latin. Maksudnya senang, dia revision of Malaysian VTC. Tapi saya nak buat jahat sikit pada bahasa Latin, menakutkan Arabic. So, a revision of Malaysian VTC. So I'm going to focus only this time on the delimitation of genera. You know, an exercise which some of you may. I tekan page down ya.
Page down. Ataupun kiri.
Ini.
Kiri. Kanan. Sini.
Alright, I just want to share with you about some characteristics about the family, the genera, and distribution ecology, and make comments on the current taxonomy of the family. I was doing this morning. Look at the English. How did I get involved? No, I'm just kidding. The reason why I couldn't do it yesterday because my son was admitted to the hospital. So I spent the whole night at the hospital last night, and the doctor couldn't find out what's wrong with my son. Dia sakit dari kaki sampai ke everywhere. So ambil darah boleh sebelum di analyzing. Tak tahu result lagi. So I only did this morning. So in 1975, some of you were not born yet. Arabi, were you born yet? No. So, all right. I was groping, just like many of you. What shall I do for my PhD when I finished my master's? So the late Dr. Ben Stone, my former lecturer at UM, suggested 3 possibilities. You know, the subfamily around Auranthioideae, which is a Rutaceae, another subfamily of grass, Bambusoideae, or Vitaceae. You know, and of course he gave me a comment that Auranthioideae, the subfamily of Rutaceae, is difficult. And Ben Stone told me the subfamily Bambusoideae, the bamboo, was difficult. And he said the Vitaceae, the great family, was simple. So I took the simple one because I wanted to finish fast and come back. And Bambusoideae went to Professor Wong Pumen. He became the specialist of bamboo. And now he's in Singapore. Auranthioideae was taken by our former staff, Mr. David Jones, and he did not complete the study. So I thought I was lucky. If I had taken Auranthioideae, the second one, I wouldn't be able to complete. So I asked the question, what about you? So I'm thinking of similar kind of situation. When you finish your master's one day, you will be asking this question, I want to do my PhD, what shall I do? Of course, it's very rare that you come forward, this is my PhD framework, I want to do this. Most will be asking what shall. Even Nasir, for example, when he came here, he asked me this question, I said, well, Anissa, likewise, you know. So the pathway that I went through, just like you went through, was very similar. Unlike Dr. Nizam, he went to Wales, he has no choice. You know, he did what he's supposed to do there. But Dr. Hajar was similar to me. He brought the local problem to Scotland, isn't it? Yeah, he brought the local problem to Scotland. Naraini also brought the local problem on the occupancy to Reading. Yeah. So think of what you are going through in future. All right. When I first started, the only available literature was the flora. 1922, when I opened the flora, because I did not know about Vitaceae, the great family, I found out there are only 3 genera: Lea, Mamali, Teresantes, and Vitis. Okay, looks simple. 3 genera. Suddenly, my supervisor told me, Abdul, he called me by the first name, Lea was already revised by Richdale in 1974. I was going to start 75. So I said, all right. And Lea was put in family on its own. So I said, okay, I will do minus Lea after being revised. Why should you repeat, isn't it? So I go without Lea. And then I started searching the literature, just like you all did now. Right? And I found out that there was already a monograph, very old monograph, which Ridley did not bother to agree with. Then there was an earlier Ganyapen's work in Indochina, French, 1911, which Ridley did not bother to comment. Of course, when I started, there was already a monograph by the German, person goes, and then the problem will start. What shall I do with this? In other words, Ridley versus this. So I must make decision. All right. So just to remind you, the great family are all climbers. Not interesting. You all like trees. Some small climbers, some big climbers, and they all climb with the aid of tendril. And the tendril are opposite the leaf. Quite simple. Opposite the leaf. Many plants have tendril, but look carefully. They may not be opposite the leaf. They may be adjacent to the leaf. Inflorescence, all kind, but some are associated with tendril. And the key thing about this family is this one. The anthers are opposite the petal. This is the petal, the anthers is here. And that is shared by Lea. Fruits are berry, you tahu anggur, zabit. These are berries. Seeds are ruminate. When I first acquired the rumination seed, that remind me of palms. All palm seeds are ruminate. And Vitaceae are all ruminate seeds. So things like this, some of you may have seen, may not pay attention. These are climbers by the roadside. If you take your time, for example, to look, you pegang sini tengok, where are the tendril? If it is opposite the leaf, this is Vitaceae. And in this particular case, this is a cissus, this is the classic one now. Okay, so things like this. Of course, some of you may have seen the grapes on the table. Very similar to this, but mind you, the one on the tables are very sweet and juicy, no crystal. The wild grapes like this are full of crystals, so they are no good to eat, all right? So I came across this. And the inflorescence are sometimes auxiliary, sometimes terminal. You notice this. You look carefully, this is the petiole, and that is the tendril holding to that, Vitaceae. Very simple, as I thought it makes my life easier. Then, I look at the geographical area of which I am going to study. I came out with initially 9 genera. Now I've decided, the decision now I'm going to say, hey, I think Ridley was wrong. Ridley's concept was very conservative. 3 genera. So in other words, he was conservative in putting things conservatively, meaning just like you can say, I always say, if you look at all of us here, conservatively we say we are one race. There's no difference. But liberally, you can say you're a Malay, you're a Chinese, you're an Indian, you're a whatever. So yeah, as I remember, if you're my second year student, remember there are called lumpers, putting things together, and there are splitters, meaning dividing another. So sometimes you can be halfway, but in this present world, you normally take either side. You are lumpers, conservative, and you are splitter, depending on your learning process. You can be conservative, you can be liberal, you can be anything, depending on your experience. So the first question, the first 6 months was, what am I going to do? Because I'm faced with a genus called VITIS in the strict sense of the definition. I was faced with another name, I was faced with this, I was faced with this, and this, and this, and this, and this. So I've got to make a decision. So my first decision was to go away from rigorous conservatism, I call it, and go towards liberalism, meaning recognizing many genera, but must be carefully defined. You've got to define what you want to believe in. For example, if I want to believe that the Cantonese Malays are different from the other Malays, as shown by the genetics, then I've got to be counting. Apparently, DNA-wise, the Cantonese Malay was shown to be related to the Thai Malays, to the Cambodian. And all the Malays were related to the indigenous population of Taiwan. If you want to believe that, then you have got to stick with it, as opposed to saying other things. And of course, in the migration of human beings, there's so many theories about it. And you people who study DNA are so confident that DNA is the ultimate, so be it. But in life, you have got to be very. You cannot be, for example, on the fence. If you be on the fence, then you won't be happy. You've got to take sides sometimes. You want to be a morphology taxonomist, or you want to be a DNA taxonomist, like that. So this is the first problem, and I'm sure you people are going to face problem in a similar manner if you went through looking at genera. But if you are looking at species, for example, Christina, and even I think Rohana is looking at both species and genera. You're going to take side. Which one? But you've got to be firm with it. So I'm faced with this. When I look at this, I told myself, the real Vitis, we have only two Vitis mellifera, which is introduced. Anggur biasa itu, introduced. There is only one Vitis in that sense, and this is found only in Philippines and Java. And processes, it is found in the New World and Old World. My God, I don't want to go to America or even Africa. There are many there. And this one was elevated from a section by me. Aha, this is truly ours. These two genera in Northern Hemisphere, meaning Canada, US, European, right to China and Japan. Scissors, like Ampelocyssus. Keratia only Asia and Australia, and Tetrastigma only in Asia, and Lea in the whole world. So I was faced with this problem from the beginning. And then there are other, what I call distractors. Distractor ni pengacau lah kita panggil. There are other genera. One is called Pterocyssus in Central America. Okay, one species, no problem, I can observe that. Another small monotypic genus, Kebangsaan in Australia. I'm not worried, which is closely to Ampelocyssus. But I was so worried about this African genus, Rheoscissus. And then in the African Asian genus of Cephostema. I'm not worried about one monotypic genus in Laos. Then I came across something called Yua, named after Professor Yu, which is only found in China. And there is another genus called Puria. You can tell this is in India, named after Professor Puria. So I'm faced with this I call distractors, and I'm sure you are going to face with other distractors as well, meaning the other genera in the same family or the other species in the same genus, which are, always bother you as to how do you want to draw the line, draw the boundary. I want to draw the boundary here. Why not here? Why not here? To differentiate one and the other. That is what I call the delimitation of genera. So I'm faced with this. As I told you just now, I'm very happy Vitis vinifera was introduced, and they were not doing well because, as you probably know, they need monsoon climate. So in Thailand they did better, and in Java they did better because both areas have monsoon. The other species, as opposed to Vitis vinifera, whose leaves are not lobed, these flexuosa are not lobed, and they are hairy. So I'm very happy they are found in the Philippines, Java, Sumatra, Timor, and Sumbawa. So this is my vitis in our area. Right? This is the vitis, anggur biasa. I took this in front of my cousin's house di tanam, and dia kata it did well, tapi masam. They fruit but masam. The fruits masam. All right, I'm faced with this problem. I said just now there are two genera which are northern hemisphere. Suddenly I saw this something called Emplopsis cantoniensis, named after Canton in China. And unlike any other genera, our friends here have imparipenate leaves, meaning compound leaves. And they are found in our country, in Java, and in Sulawesi. And then I thought, I think there is another species in the Philippines called glandulosa. The other genus, Partenocissus, is represented by one species found in Peninsula Java, right to Papua New Guinea, and once collected in Larut. I mean, masa Pak Dim was around, and even with Sunny, we thought, let's go to Larut and find this one. Until now, we have not found Partenocissus in Larut, and I have never seen it in the wild. So I'm very happy to delimit the Emplopsis and Partenocissus. See? The leaves are compound, imparipenate. If you dissect the flowers, typical Vitaceae, but suddenly you see pairs. Imparipenate because you have the odd terminal. Kalau dia tak ada yang ni, you call it paripenate. Imparipenate, not paripenate. So this is very common, and sometimes it can get confused with Lia. So then I came across something like this, which I elevated from a section in Ampelocissus. I call it Lotocissus. And suddenly when I look further, I found 3 more species put under cissus by Professor Betty Jakes in Australia, and she argued blah 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 blah. So when I look closer at the seed rumination, at the inflorescence, I made a decision, and I call it correctly or wrongly, that these 3 cissus species are now in Lotocissus. I have published this, so I'm waiting for comment, for discussion, for saying, Latiff, you are wrong. Latiff, you are probably right. So I'm waiting for that. But I've got to make a decision. I don't feel happy in my delimitation that these three should be incised, because I have defined my incisors is like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. And these three do not fit nicely there. I mean, you can understand, for example, you want to have a makan. You decided to have nasi kerabu. Suddenly you find three dishes, somehow, three components do not fit to be in nasi kerabu punya gaul lah. Budu is fitting, but cincalo is not. The other thing, tempe is not part of nasi kerabu, thing like that. So you have got to make a decision that rightly or wrongly. I always believe, and I told my students the same thing, you make the right decision, it will stay with the test of time. If you make the wrong decision, somebody will correct it. Don't worry, somebody will correct it.